We'll talk about your number 2 team here in a second. But your number 1 team, the Chicago
I don't
Bears.
have one.
Oh, you do.
Really?
You do. So the Chicago Bears, they got Jonathan Jackson from the Rams. They got Joe Thuney from the Chiefs. They retained their Josh Blackwell, Chris Williams, and then they made some splashes. So how would you grade the Bears free agency so far? You got to be happy.
I'm not getting too excited. I promised. I promised I wouldn't get overly excited. I'm not doing. It was like I said, and I made an affirmation like I'm not going to get too pumped just because we signed Ben Johnson, who put on like the most electric offense of the last 3 seasons. I'm not gonna, well, 2 seasons, let's say, being most electric. I'm not going to get too excited. And then when I said that, they were like, oh, but what if we address every single one of your glaring needs? So we put ourselves in a position to go BPA in the top 10. What if we have 4 picks in the top 40? What if we really make all the correct and intelligent decisions and it really looks like Ben Johnson is actually doing something and all his press conferences make you really excited? Are you going to get excited then? No, no, because they've heard me too many goddamn times. It's like a toxic relationship. It really feels like the last death blow that they're gonna throw. And I mean, quite frankly, there's still too many question marks. There's just still too many question marks. I still watch DJ Moore walk off the field in the middle of a play last season. You know what I mean? Like we have such a large hill to climb, and winning the offseason every year is not really doing it for me anymore. It's really not tickling my ball sack anymore. So I'm honestly, I know this is going to sound negative and shitty, and I know that like Bears fans are excited, and I'm happy for them. But like I've been hurt too many times, man. I'll believe it when I see it. When I see some meaningful football, I'm going to spend this whole summer being a fucking Debbie Downer about it. Did they do the right things? Absolutely. I'm not going to do that again, though. I'm not going to do what I did the last few off seasons where it will be between Field and Williams. I just can't. It's too upsetting. So I know that might not be the most exciting answer, but I'm trying to protect my mental health over here. The overall, that being said, as a disclaimer, I would give them an A in what they've done so far. I really like the positions that they've addressed. I like how they address them. I like the fact that we have a completely new look O-line. I like the fact that Dennis Allen is my defensive coordinator. I was thinking about that today, and I was thinking about his style of defense and the kind of players that we have. And it's, I think, going to be sort of like the opposite of the problem Bobby had, where it's like he had a bunch of fast and athletic guys that were then last year asked to not play sort of zone hawk defense. They were asked to play like a kind of a bubble, bend, don't break sort of approach. And it was just like, I don't think you can really do that. These guys aren't like, you're not managing games out there, with the guys that are on the Dallas Cowboys. It's just not how it works. So I think the Bears are the same way. And I think Dennis Allen's going to be like, let's be a hard hitting, turnover based, affect the game and dynamic defense. And I think that that's what my personnel on the defensive side of the ball is capable of. So again, I mean, we needed an edge rusher. We signed an edge rusher. I think the additions that we've made are going to make the team better. I think we're going to be better just by not having Matt Eberflus as a head coach and that culture shifting over. And I really love going into the draft with a best position available mindset, best player available mindset, and not having to address the glaring need at 10. So if Ashton Jinty's there, if any of the guys we talked about at the top of the show are there, basically for me to get, I'm not going to be mad. So that 10th overall pick is butter now, right? It's not a desperate need situation. It's just like who's the best guy? Just bring him in. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who's left, right? So you're just power ranking your players at that point. So I'm happy about that. And I think they're making all the right decisions, but it remains to fucking be seen.
Because he's one of the top 5 centers in the league. And I don't think it can be under.
Was it underrated? I feel like it was a great.
Well,
it was like sort of
it
lauded.
Can't be underrated.
I really think it was a great signing.
How important the center is for a young quarterback. You know what I mean? You look at what Jason Kelsey did for Hurts all those years, or what he did for the Eagles, what Frederick did for the Cowboys all those years when he was the center. Having Saturday in Indianapolis, being able to have a center that can call out those blitzes like he can, dude, that's so important, and that's such a big pickup for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that the way that did I get too excited again?
No, I mean, DK, can I just ask you a question? Like, I promise, you have my word here. We're recording.
He's
I
lying.
will not.
He's
I will
definitely
not use
lying.
this against you in the future. Can you give me what your take? Can you?
I know he's lying.
I promise. Could you just give me what your reaction would be had you not been snake bitten by them out of the last 4 years?
You know, it's hard. It's hard to put myself in that position because like you're asking me like what if he didn't hit me all those times? Would I still love him? You know, it's like it's like how am I supposed to put that hypothetical into my head? I can't. So I guess my best guess would be cautiously optimistic still. Really genuinely cautiously optimistic because it really does still hinge on if Caleb Williams has got the goods or not. And a lot of things, Jaden Daniels, their proximity to each other in the draft, are going to have to break like they've never broken before in history for Caleb Williams to be the guy that I kind of think he's going to be, but kind of want him to be, like really need him to be. Because when has that ever happened that the top two guys are legit good coming out of the draft? You know, so I have two routes to this. Either that happens or Jaden Daniels takes a massive dip, right? Like that's what I'm sitting here hoping for. So when you apply that context, and I know I'm not my usual optimistic self here, but when you apply that context, it's like it's really hard to like kind of gamble anything because Caleb could just come out and fucking lay an egg next year. And I'm sorry, but that's possible. And I know that Bears fans don't want to hear that because I think he had a good rookie season. And I'm not going to argue with people who don't think that because it's demonstrably true. Like everything about his numbers before you apply all the fucking dumpster fire aspects of everything that was going on in Chicago, everything about his advanced analytics, his numbers, all signs point to good rookie season, not generational rookie season, but good rookie season. How few interceptions he threw comparatively to his touchdowns. In the positive column, distinctly held the ball too long, in many situations in the negative column. So are we building an offensive line to give him 6-second pop? Because how sustainable is that? Genuinely. Unless you're the Philadelphia Eagles, I guess. But it's sustainable. Fuck it. Yeah, let's just do that. But you know, he needs to make a huge leap. Like I'm depending on a quarterback to make a huge leap. And thematically, we have always discussed that there's 3 good quarterbacks. So I'm hoping my guy becomes one. So are you, Mike. You're in the same spot.
I know.
He had a good year last year. He demonstrably did. Like
he went 1 but he went 1
could
and
go
9.
could go the way to the fucking dodo. Yeah, exactly. There's other things. You have to think about the other side of it, right? Unless you're a Commanders fan, you really shouldn't be blindly optimistic right now. And even then, I would advise caution.
And they just got, obviously, we talked about Laramie Tunsil, and then they traded for Deebo Samuel to add to Tevin McCord. So should be a little bit better.
You would invest if you were the owner of the Commanders right now, wouldn't you? After
the hell yeah.
They just put in last year. But what's to say they're not the Texans the next year? You know what I mean? Like, what's to say they're not it's just like there's no way to tell. We've just been doing this for too long.
I mean, I think they'll take, but if you're Washington, you take back-to-back playoff years, and then this year, if you take a step back, but you lose in the first round, but you're then second-year quarterback that you to the playoffs twice, I'll take that. They haven't been
for reasonable people
years.
like us. For reasonable people like us, that's a good thing. Like that, the Texans are also in a pretty good spot. Not really sure why they traded their left tackle if they truly believe in their QB, but I don't know. Maybe they'll figure something out. Or maybe it's a restructuring thing. There's been that theory floated. It's like they kind of need to get him a new look core of weapons in Texas because like those guys have not been able to stay healthy for him, and it's sort of becoming like true because like you can't just chase the like on paper of them when they're all on the field at the same time. We've seen how that works out in the past with other teams. So maybe it's something to do with that, but I don't know. I mean, like I would still rate the Texans pretty highly, but we did just spend a season being disappointed in them. So next year, if you get 2 injuries, you know what I mean? Like if wide receiver 1 goes down on any team for a second-year quarterback, it's like fucking gone off that franchise all of a sudden. Like now it's what have you done for me lately? So we're talking about the Commanders in the exact same way where we were talking about the Texans last year.
Yep.
So, anything can go in any direction at this point. So it's like, I guess I'm kind of bringing the whole house of cards down here because that's what we're here to do is speculate. But it's hard because this league burns you, dude. It burns you.
Oh